have your attention, please welcome TechCrunch Managing Editor, Matt Burns.
Hey everyone, welcome to Startup Battlefield. There's a lot of you out there. To me, this is the best part of the show, and judging by the amount of you out there, I think you agree as well. Since 2008, nearly 1,000 companies have presented in Startup Battlefield. We've held the competition in New York City, San Francisco, London, Berlin, and Africa, South America, and Australia. It's been a fantastic program, and this year we expanded even more. For the first time, TechCrunch invited 200 companies to participate in Startup Battlefield. You're going to see 20 of those over the next 2 days. And then on the final day, of finalists selected from the 4 previous rounds will present one more time to another set of judges. We call these companies the Battlefield 20. On the bottom floor of this show is the Battlefield 200. And those companies are great as well, too, and I would encourage you to go see them as well. Let's go over the ground rules. These companies have 6 minutes to present, and then they're going to get 6 minutes of questions from a panel of judges. The judges are grading these companies based on their potential for impact, and that can be either financially or socially. If the company's going to change the world but not make any money, we want to reward that as well, too. So with that, I think we got to bring out the judges and get this show underway. First up, we have Josephine Chen. Josephine is a partner at Sequoia Capital, and she's on the early stage team at Sequoia, where she works with seed and Series A companies in enterprise software, fintech, and crypto. She worked with companies such as Found, Magic Eden, Benchling, and Enrock. Prior to Sequoia, Josephine worked at Emergence Capital and McKinsey. Next up, we have Kanye Macabella. Kanye is a managing partner at Kindred Ventures, an early-stage venture fund in mission-driven technologies companies at the earliest stages. He focuses his investments and formational work in theme areas such as fintech, health and wellness, e-commerce, supply chain, and climate tech, and has a fantastic shirt on. Next, we have Jordan Nuff. Jordan is a co-founder and managing partner at Tusk Venture Partners LP, and is a member of the firm's investment committee. He has led many of the firm's investments, including Lemonade, Bird, Coinbase, Alma, Sunday, and Wheel. He currently serves on the board of directors of Alma, Sunday, and Wheel. Next, we have Brian Offit. Brian is joined Index in 2018 and focuses on enterprise investments with an emphasis on design. He's particularly interested in the consumerization of enterprise and the use of design to improve the approachability of highly technical products. Before Index, Brian started his career at Palantir Technologies, where he was an engineer and a product manager. Lastly, we have Uli Onavakpora. Uli is a managing partner at Kapoor Capital, an Oakland-based early-stage impact-focused fund. At Kapoor, she focuses on investing in digital health, medtech, people, and operations company. Previously, she served as the director of global programs at Village Capital, a global accelerator program and venture capital firm which supports healthcare, education, agriculture, energy, and fintech. Join me in welcoming him to the stage. Well, the judges are ready, you guys are ready, I'm ready, so let's see the first company. First company comes to us from St. Paul, Minnesota, NextGen Port. Presenting for NextGen Port is co-founder and CEO Kathy Skinner and Mohammed Ali.
Is that the 20 years ago, cancer came to my house. We all know someone who's been touched by cancer. For me, it was my father. When my dad was at home in between treatments, there was no way to keep track of changes in his blood cell counts and his vitals. On more than one occasion, he got an infection that landed him in the hospital and delayed his next chemo. Many years later, I led an exercise program for cancer patients. The patients were having the same problems as my dad. 50% of cancer patients undergoing treatment suffer from low white blood cell counts that lead to an infection and a delay in cancer-fighting treatment. Infections lead to unplanned hospitalizations, costing $2.3 billion annually. Did you know that up to 50% of hospitalizations can be avoided with early detection? Imagine the impact we could have on the quality of life of patients if we could detect early signs of infection before they even had symptoms. Plus, save over $1 billion. Current methods of monitoring patients at home are missing critical health information. We created a better way. NextGen Port is the first of its kind implanted smart port that detects early signs of infection by measuring changes in blood cell counts, heart function, and vitals. Used as a standard of care for decades, the chemo port is a delivery tool that fights the cancer by delivering drugs. We've created the next generation of care by adding microelectronics and optical sensors to the port. In between chemo treatments, our software uses machine learning to look for changes in health status before symptoms emerge. Our longitudinal data equips physicians with real-time monitoring of cancer patients at home. We're in a second year of a collaboration agreement with Mayo Clinic, where we meet with a leading oncologist as a product advisor. While the hospital-at-home model is growing, physicians still want to know what's happening to their patients. Our advanced warning alerts physicians to changes in health status so they can take action and deliver life-saving care. So how does NextGen Port work? We measure blood cells as they flow past our optical system in the body. Much like EasyPass captures the images of license plates of cars as they drive through a toll booth. Let's take a look at the demo. We add microelectronics and a battery to the body of the port and thread a fiber optic bundle through the catheter. Let's take a look at the computer output. A blood flow simulator is showing us in real time swine blood cells as they flow past the catheter tip. A trained machine learning algorithm is counting the cells based on their known size and composition. To the physician dashboard. We analyze the longitudinal data and pass the findings on to physicians through an API integrated with their electronic medical records. And then to patients, the healthcare provider can contact the patient before a problem escalates to hospitalization. Let's return to the presentation and the business opportunity. Our forecast shows $750 million in revenue after 5 years of commercial launch. Current methods fail. To port manufacturers, the typical port is a delivery device. Chemo in, blood out. We've reimagined the existing port as a data tracking and monitoring device. Wearables can't track blood, and they have low levels of patient engagement. Lab tests can measure blood, but require patients to drive to clinic, and they can't measure changes over time in real time. IP-protected, NextGen Port gathers a data package that has no additional burden on the patients. I've worked with cancer patients face-to-face for the last 10 years, and NextGen Port is my third startup in oncology. Dr. Welcher has decades of experience in cancer diagnostics and business leadership. Our inventor, Dr. Ali, leads our product line and our engineering team. Our board has industry leaders in medical device, science, and regulatory affairs. With a line of sight to our market and commercialization, we've submitted several patent applications, verified CPT codes for reimbursement. Based on predicates, we have a clear roadmap to our FDA submission and anticipate a 510(k) for the hardware and the software. We participated in an accelerator called mHub and received investment from key industry leaders like Baxter. And we're recently accepted to United Health Group's Optum Startup Studio. Go-to-market focuses on selling the technology to port manufacturers, and we anticipate commercial launch of NextGen Port in 2025. Announcing the full platform, NextGen Care. While we're passionate about cancer first, we see future opportunities in dialysis, cardiac care, and veterinary care, as well as research and virtual clinical trials. Providing life-saving health information, NextGen Care can alert you to changes in your health before you even have symptoms. And as for me, I like to think that if NextGen Port had been available when cancer came to my house, my dad would be here today.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Judges, let's start with you, Josephine.
Kathy, thank you so much for taking the time today and also being the first one here. I know it's always nerve-wracking. You did an incredible job. I think the potential for NextGen Port to make an impact is huge. And I love the trends that you're coming on, remote patient monitoring, all the rest, the CPT codes. I think my question for you would be, go-to-market tends to be the tough part for so many of these hospital sales, especially med devices. How do you think about kind of the go-to-market motion here? Is there ability for you to retrofit existing ports? Does it have to be a de novo, med device sale? Can you talk about the go-to-market a little?
Those are all wonderful questions, and lots of them, so thank you. Verified that through a third-party assessment that we're looking at a 510K, so not a de novo. We are working with Mayo Clinic, and we really see working with integrated cancer centers like Mayo and others as a first move to market to get early adoption and traction. And then we can sell to port manufacturers because they're looking to diversify and enrich their portfolio and move from being device-driven to data-driven.
Awesome.
Brian?
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. It was a great presentation. The one question I wanted to ask is on the technology side. So you've got these machine learning models that are running on the data. I assume that's running in the application, not in the actual device. Is that correct?
I'll let Mohammed speak to that.
Actually, thank you for your question. It's running on the device, and that decision was taken because the device has to be autonomous. So if there is no connection, it has still to work. So it is running on the device.
And can I ask one follow-up on that? Given it's on the device, can there's been rapid advances in machine learning kind of happening every day. Are you able to push new versions of models to the device to kind of keep things up to date?
Exactly. The platform we used have an OTA, like over-the-air firmware upgrades, including the model.
Thank you.
Kanye?
Thank you for the presentation. You noted that you were hoping to get to $750 million of revenue in, I think, 5 years. You also mentioned that I think it was 2.3 billion of infections per year. That sounds like 25% of the market. How do you get that much distribution that quickly?
Great question. We anticipate strategic partners seeing the value and having infrastructure that will allow us to accelerate. And based on NextGen Care, there's ways to leverage the uniqueness and our patent-pending technology in the optical sensors in other types of devices where patients need to be monitored remotely and collecting that biological data.
Quick clarifying question. Thank you. And does that imply that moving into dialysis and cardiac is going to be part of that revenue expansion?
Yes, we see because we have an opportunity to have a system rather than just a product, but really an integrated system that uses a platform to serve the needs of patients.
Thank you.
This is a great product. 2 questions really quickly. On the healthcare provider side, is there any retraining required in terms of working with the port, or is it kind of standard of care currently for how they use existing ports?
So interventional radiologists are the people that implant the port surgically, and there will be no change in their procedure or workflow.
Okay. And then secondarily, in terms of diagnosis, I know if you catch sepsis early enough, you can treat with medicine. Is it catching the infection early enough that it can be treated with antibiotics, or are you finding in terms of you're trying to catch the infection still, but at the point where you have to change the port? Where are you guys on that spectrum?
And can you repeat, what do you mean by change the port?
do a replacement port. So once a port is, sometimes if it gets infected to such an extreme amount, it has to be cleaned out and replaced. So,
and we're actually addressing infection related to neutropenia, which is changes in blood.
okay, so not the actual port.
There isn't as much incidence of port-related infections, but there's a very high incidence of cancer-related infections based on treatment response.
Okay, so it's a blood infection, not a port infection.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Jordan?
So so once again, really appreciate the presentation. With regards to the data that's being collected and the algorithms that are being trained on top of the data, how do you avoid the regulatory scrutiny around the need to push outcomes to doctors in order to make an actual diagnosis instead of it being a medical device?
So we're taking a stepwise approach to the FDA and to our product. So our initial product is going to be looking at trends and changes in blood counts to make and let the physicians make the decisions, because we want to get to market as quickly as possible. But as we progress, we can become software as a medical device and have a diagnostic capacity once we gather more data and more patient feedback and more physician feedback to tighten that up. And then, Mohammed, would you anything about the uniqueness of the technology to get to that place?
Having the ability to be able to count blood cells and differentiate the type of data actually can be pushed to physicians in a form of a dashboard to be able to take these clinical decisions. So that's the infrastructure we are building, and actually the device and the model can be upgraded in future to allow for other applications.
It's great timing with the healthcare interoperability standards coming out, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Give them a round of applause, folks.
Thank you.
I was given a pretty strict warning here that there's a possibility that I'm going to have to vamp for a long time because that's filled with blood. And so if that thing pops, we could be up here. It could be a good show. You guys are looking at me like I'm crazy. Look at Connie. Okay, well, what a way to start off the show. We've been virtual for the last 2 years, and we couldn't do a live demo like that until right now. Okay, next up, next company. From San Francisco, California, Omniki. Presenting for Omniki is Akira Sengju, founder and CEO, and Aaron Sherloff. Welcome to the stage.
How y'all doing, TechCrunch? Ooh, let's go. My name is Hikari Senju. I studied computer science at Harvard with a focus on AI. And in college, I started an ed tech company, which was acquired by another ed tech company in the Bay Area where I led growth. And it was there, running growth, that I saw how much money is wasted every year on ineffective content. Content is the most important factor for growth. 47% of sales is attributed to the ad creative, and yet 25% of marketing budgets are wasted every year on ineffective content. That's a lot of money. Introducing Omniki. Omniki uses computer vision to quantify design elements into data points. Our AI discovers the image features, video features, design features, keywords, and more that are driving sales in your marketing. And then we use state-of-the-art machine learning and generative AI foundation models like DALL-E and GPT-3 and Stability AI to generate personalized content based on real-time marketing data. Customers can then approve the generated ads through the Omniki dashboard, at which point they're automatically launched across all the different platforms. Omniki is the first data-driven generative AI platform. We have proprietary API integrations with all the ad networks and marketing platforms listed here to ensure that the content we generate actually drives results, actually is backed by real data. Switch to demo, please. We'll be utilizing Omniki's own data to showcase this demo. Upon logging in, customers can immediately compare and see the performance of all their different advertising campaigns. Data underpins everything we do at Omniki. Customers can view the top performing creative across all the different ad channels. We use computer vision to quantify and turn every single design element into data points. And by turning design into data points, we can discover what exactly about the creative is driving results. Let's dive into that now. Customers can view the top performing and discover the text on images, or number of faces, colors, image features, video lengths, emojis, videos, content within the video that is driving results, driving conversions in their marketing campaigns. Our AI also pulls the top performing creative features. For example, the word business in the headline, or image and video features like having a person in the video, having glasses, a monkey in the video, having a hat in the video. There has never been an analytics tool for designers and for design until Omniki. Our AI then utilizes these insights to generate personalized content at scale. Our AI generates image generation prompts based on real-time marketing data. If you remember from the previous section, a person in the video is correlated with increasing conversions, and therefore our AI has generated a prompt for image generation. Let's generate that now. Let's also now go to copy. If you remember from the previous section, the phrase grow your business was correlated with increasing conversions. So we'll select that copy. The headline was also generated by AI, and voila, what used to take a team of marketers, designers, data scientists, copywriters, weeks, not months sometimes, of work has taken our AI mere seconds to generate. These drafts of ads then are sent to our marketplace of creators to make the finishing touches. Customers can annotate each ad, provide feedback, and ensure that every single content we're generating is on brand. Once and only once customers explicitly approve the ads are the ads launched across the various ad networks. Customers can also upload their brand guidelines, brand assets, and more through our digital asset management feature to ensure that every single piece of content we're generating is on brand. Omniki lets customers harness the power of state-of-the-art machine learning and generative AI while staying in control. Back to presentation, please. We're now over 2 million in revenue, growing 4x year over year. And we're trusted by over 100 happy customers, including those listed here. Advertising is a $1 trillion market. It's a lot of money. And our ICP is the 12 million businesses currently advertising online today. With a big market comes competition. Omniki is the first data-driven generative AI platform. The content we generate actually delivers conversions, actually delivers results because it's backed by real-time marketing data. And today we're now excited to announce the launch of our self-serve product. And the first 30 customers that sign up via omniki.com/TechCrunch get a 10% discount on their first year. So sign up today and drive your sales to the moon with AI-generated content. Thank you.
That was great. Very good. All right, Connie, let's start with you.
Thank you. Great presentation. Congratulations. So I'm curious about the bottlenecks that you described that get released by this work. I think you had mentioned marketer, data scientist, and a designer.
Yeah.
I can understand the data science one, and I'm curious about the marketing one, but I am skeptical about the designer one, which is how quantitative is brand really? How much paint by numbers can you actually do for some of the creative stuff?
Yeah, thank you, Connie, for the great question. Our average customer sees a 2x improvement in return on ad spend after utilizing our product. What we've shown with our traction and with our customers is that data-driven design does work. And in fact, I would almost say that now, with computer vision and the advancements of computer vision, data-driven design is the table stakes for running and creating online experiences.
If I can ask a clarifying question, are you analyzing past advertisement to see what images or what part of the images performed well, as well as analyzing past copyright to see, and then grouping them together, or are you creating new images and new copy?
Thank you for the great question, Lily. We are both generating content and then utilizing historical data from the customer's own marketing campaigns to generate the content. It's this continuous improvement loop of generating content, analyzing what's working, and then generating new content to increasingly personalize the brand experience at scale. Because different audiences have different preferences in design, different ways they want to be communicated. It's hard to really intuit that sometimes without data.
Yeah. So new content meaning new copy and new images?
Yes, we generate copy and we generate images and videos.
Okay. Thanks a bunch. It's really cool to see the sorts of things that people are doing with these new foundational models. It's pretty wild how much progress there's been in machine learning over the past 5 years in particular. On that note, one of my questions is on how you think about the long-term defensibility of the business, right? Because as these foundational models come out, it becomes easier and easier to do stuff like text generation, image generation, et cetera. So I'm curious if there's something either within the models that you view as kind of the long-term differentiator, or if it's something that lies outside of the
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. It's an interesting question. Our thesis is that there's going to be increased commoditization in the foundation models. There's going to be margin pressure with these various APIs competing with each other. And ultimately, probably every single big tech platform is going to offer a foundation model as a way to boost their cloud business. And so the real opportunity for us, and our focus from day one, has been on building the best B2B application that incorporates generative AI. That's Omniki's vision. That's Omniki's focus. If we can become the best B2B application that integrates generative AI into the workflow, that's what we believe is the big opportunity. And so in terms of defensibility for that, it's about data, right? So every single customer signs up, our AI gets better. Every single data integration we build with an ad network or with a marketing platform or with a sales platform, our AI gets better. Our product gets better with more users. And there's this continuous virtuous loop of more users, better data, better product experience, more users, better product experience, et cetera.
Josephine?
First, just congrats. I love just how clear of a demonstration this was in terms of how AI could make creative work both more efficient and more effective. So congrats on that. I loved Brian's question. Just to build on that, I think you're in the sector of marketing tech, and oftentimes I think marketing tech has the issue of retention, where a lot of users will try out new products and not stick with it for that long because everyone wants kind of the newest innovation. How do you think about making even your B2B SaaS product stickier? Is it becoming a system of record? How do you actually think about becoming a long-term product with the company?
Yeah, thank you, Josephine. Great question. The average CMO, as some may know, is 2 years. It's one of the shortest tenures in terms of in the Fortune 500. Our focus, as you mentioned, is B2B. So it's integrating and building integrations into the sales process. It's building integrations into further other customer touchpoints, like eventually landing pages and emails. It's about personalizing the entire brand experience from end to end. And to your note, if we can become the system of record, if we can become the go-to personalized design layer for online applications, for businesses, I think that is a sticky product. But that's for us to prove in terms of building these new product features and product improvements every day to earn our customers' trust and to maintain their customers' trust that they can utilize us to continue to scale their businesses.
Last but not least, Jordan.
So on the digital marketing side, as you mentioned, it has been very, very crowded, a crowded space. But also, companies have different objectives, and they measure ROI in very different ways. And some might be looking for more brand awareness. Some may be looking for conversion. How do you train the models to actually pick up on what is driving that ROI for the customer?
Please keep the answer short.
Thank you, Jordan, and thank you. Sorry, could you repeat the question again? Apologize.
So how do you
Yes,
how do you train your models?
Yes, exactly. Well, our belief is that actually direct response is the future, right? That as attribution has gotten better, you can actually now be able to attribute from the first impression to conversions for even sales processes. And so actually potentially direct response advertising, direct response media content could actually potentially replace massive fields of sales teams that are you paying 80K a year, and maybe they're sending cold emails that aren't really converting anymore, and they're sending cold calls that nobody's really picking up. And so with the advancements in attribution analytics, and I think this is actually the third big tech innovation on top of generative AI and computer vision, is the advancements in attribution. More and more of the sales process and the marketing process is going to switch from brand potentially to, and customers would prefer direct response to brand if they had that data and if they had that potential available. And so that's what our focus is on direct response. There continue to be great companies that do brand advertisements, but our focus is on data and on direct response.
Well, thank you very much. Give it up. Give it up for Omniki. You guys did well. Okay, next up, from Albuquerque, New Mexico, we have Circular Genomics. Presenting for Circular Genomics is Alex Havez. Welcome to the stage.
One out of 3 entrepreneurs struggle with depression. This problem is greater than just our community, though. In the United States, in 2019, 21 million individuals were diagnosed with this chronic illness. 2.5 years later, after our pandemic, this depression is 4 times higher in the United States, estimated to be over 80 million individuals. Depression is the greatest public health crisis to ever face our nation. Depression worldwide is the leading cause of disability. We have higher rates of hospitalization and suicide as a result of it, and the global economic cost exceeds $1 trillion per year. You might ask, why don't patients get treatment for depression? One reason is the social stigma that exists around it. There are many people that believe that there is no biological basis of it, that it is not a condition that should be diagnosed and it does not need to be treated. There is also this distrust that exists in our healthcare system, where patients that are depressed might not feel willing or able to go talk to their provider, their medical providers, about this. When they do finally get that courage and they go try to make that appointment, they run into long wait times. In Albuquerque, where a company is headquartered, mental health clinics often have wait lists that are so long that you can't even be added to them. And then when you finally get into the clinic, you run into a treatment model that revolves around trial and error, where you're prescribed an antidepressant, you only have a 40% chance of responding to it. You'll take it for 2 to 3 months, often figure out it doesn't work, you taper off, and you start again. A patient with depression or an individual with depression can spend months, if not years, trying to find the right antidepressant and dose that works for them. The big problem in mental health care is that there are no good biomarkers that exist today. We've tried DNA, which is our genetic code. It shows your predisposition for depression, but it is not very predictive. Messenger RNA is the RNA that is used to code for proteins in your body. We can use it to look at real-time expression of those genes, but it is highly unstable because it's exposed to the enzymatic degradation that degrades it. Protein is actually predictive, and it is stable. It's the building blocks of our cells, but it's difficult to measure in the brain because we don't take brain biopsies of depression patients. So what we're trying to do with circular genomics is use a new biomarker called circular RNA to help diagnose, monitor treatment of mental health conditions. Circular RNAs are a biomarker. They're stable, predictive, and can be measured in bodily fluids, including your blood. It's a better way to help clinicians provide precision medicine, leading to improved patient outcomes. The platform that our company is developing does not only apply to mental health care. These are molecules that are highly stable in our blood. We can use them for very early detection of medical conditions. For example, in oncology, predicting early remission of a cancer. Also in neurology, possibly predicting early onset of Alzheimer's or dementia. Let me show you guys what we do. In our company's laboratory, we're sent blood samples from individuals that are experiencing depression. We're able to extract and purify the RNA from those individuals, and then we use a process called quantitative, circRNA-specific quantitative PCR. We use this to measure the expression levels of the circular RNAs in that individual. We can create a molecular profile of these circular RNAs and their expression changes, and we can run it through our analytical pipeline to determine whether or not that individual may have depression and how they might respond to different medications. This is some of our early data from a clinical trial that we did that we've partnered with. You can see here that using a single circular RNA, it is 97% predictive of a diagnosis of depression. This helps remove the stigma that revolves around depression by giving it a biological basis. The response to an SSRI that we're studying is the circular RNA is also 94% predictive of it. So the 40% likelihood of responding to a first-line therapy is now substantially increased. We're improving patient outcomes and reducing months of trial and error treatment down to days. There are 3 channels that we see our product easily going into the market: primary care, telemedicine, and urgent care. All of these channels struggle with treating patients in a timely manner and have very difficult times working through the clinical diagnosis of depression. We can improve their workflow, increase their volume, reduce those wait lists, and provide the patient a better experience. Our team is led by scientists. I myself, I earned a PhD and an MBA simultaneously at the University of New Mexico. The research you're seeing today was based on part of my dissertation work. Nicolas Milios is our chief scientist and lead inventor. He was trained at UMass and MIT. And Cosmos Karadimitriou, our data science expert, was a co-founder of ZoomInfo and worked early on with Kayak.com. Our company's mission is to bring precision medicine to mental health diagnostics and therapeutics. What we want to do is give people remind people that there's hope, that there's always going to be a better tomorrow. I'd ask you guys, if you're really interested in what we're doing, to join us. Look at our website, circulargenomics.com, and we'd love to have you help. Thank you.
And give it up for Circular Genomics. Thank you, Alex. Let's go to Jordan.
So congratulations on what you built so far. You're tackling a huge problem that we're definitely facing in America today. I'm curious about the workflow that you guys have in getting to the point where you want to prescribe medication versus another more traditional route using psychology and just basic talk therapy to help people get through what the current state of depression is and potentially not need to get on SSRIs or other medications.
Yeah. So I think the problem that we have right now is that SSRI, you typically are, you go to a therapist and you have a medication management provider. So most of these patients are prescribed medication. Therapy alone can help, but it does not help most of the population that experiences depression. I think we see about 70% of patients that have depression actually go to the clinic. They're prescribed a medication. And it really, when you look at the first line responses, it's only about 40% is who's actually responding. So, I think this test, one of the things that we're doing is also, that diagnosis of depression. Is it really, is there a biological basis in that individual for why they're feeling that way, or are they just feeling down? That's one of the things that we're teasing out still with the assay. But I think we do have good biomarkers using circular RNAs that show that this person is depressed, and that these different medications they may respond to.
Just a quick follow-up on that. On the distribution channels for telemedicine, How are you going to tackle that first interaction being in person to be able to then prescribe medication?
Okay. So in telemedicine, it's not uncommon. So when you go see a physician, they can still order lab tests for you.
Sure.
So you would go, that physician could order that lab test. They would take a blood draw of it and have it shipped to our company when you're going and doing those labs. So while the test wouldn't be happening per se at the laboratory that they send you to, we still have a way to get the blood of that patient.
Brian?
Related question for me on the channels. I noticed you mentioned 3 of them. Having 3 channels is a lot, especially in something as hard to break into as healthcare. I'm curious if one of those 3 channels that you think is the most promising, and do you have any data to suggest which of the ones you might spend most of your focus points on?
So our focus today, we're actually interested in telemedicine. There's been a huge shift of mental health care treatment from inpatient care to telemedicine. I think before COVID, it was around 1 or 2% of mental health care was being done through telemedicine. Today, it's about 40%. So there's a huge shift there. This gives those virtual providers a way to look at biological evidence that's going on in that individual, and they can use that to help determine the treatment plan for them.
Uli?
Is this test reimbursable by health insurance? Is it reimbursable? Like, does health insurance pay for the test?
So we have not, we don't have a CPT code to date for it.
Okay.
Our initial plan is potentially to go direct to consumer or have a self-pay option initially, but actively work on getting the CPT codes to get it reimbursed.
And what's the cost then?
So we're still working on that as well. I think the cost of running the test, probably about $40 to $50 on our side. But, so I think we would need a rate where we could afford to do that on our end and then get that reimbursed. I think one of the things we have to do with approaching a self-pay option is pricing it at a position where individuals can actually afford it. Yeah. One of the biggest risk factors, indicators of somebody that might be depressed is typically $5,000 or less in their savings account. So these are people that could be economically disadvantaged. So the test needs to be priced in a way or reimbursed by insurance where it becomes affordable for them to use it.
Connie?
Can I build on that with a question, which is, are you anticipating there's going to be a decrease in false negatives or a decrease in false positives in the depression diagnosis?
I think it might actually work both ways. I mean, because on one hand, I've experienced depression myself, and I have told myself over and over and over, I'm not actually depressed. But in reality, I feel like I am. I think you run into 2 different sides here. There's people that don't think that they're depressed, but they actually are, or there's people that are depressed, but you might not either feel the feelings of it. You see it on both sides. So I think it helps provide that biological basis of it, removes that stigma around whether or not this is actually a real condition, and it gives those patients some hope when they go see their doctor that something can change and they might feel better.
Super quick follow-up. Does the implication there mean that you can potentially use outcomes to try and get a CPT code faster and try and get reimbursable faster?
Yeah, I believe that's our hope. Yeah.
Cool.
Josephine?
I think one of the most interesting potential for circular RNA is the ability to help patients pick the right first medication. Can you draw the line from how your technology allows that? My understanding was a lot of depression medication is pretty non-specific at this point, and so would love to understand that line.
Okay, so the data that I had shown you guys was for an SSRI that's the most commonly prescribed antidepressant on the market. You only see about a 40% first-line response to it. And it's prescribed to about 35% of the patients in the clinic as their first therapy. So what we hope to do is, at least for this SSRI, we can tell 40%, or we could tell 94% of the people that with 94% probability whether or not that patient will respond. For those other 6%, the physician can use a different medication that might be indicative of a response. So as we continue to expand and do more additional clinical studies and we look at other antidepressants, we hope to be able to indicate which ones they might respond to. And then those physicians can provide personalized care to the patient.
Well, thank you very much. Give it up for Circular Genomics. Very good. Next, we have two more companies in this group. Next, from Chicago, Illinois, we have Anthill. Presenting for Anthill is Young Jae Kim, co-founder and CTO. Welcome to the stage.
During pandemic, we all started to work from home, but actually 2.7 billion people didn't. That is 80% of the entire global workforce. Because these jobs do not happen at desks or computers, in the stores, in the distribution centers, or on highways. These workers are everywhere, and they are the deskless workers. Current employment solutions are not actually built for these workers. More than 50% of these deskless workers are having issues with the current system. What they need to focus on is flag safety, payment issues, or getting additional help. But current systems are not built to serve them. Even more, employers have no structure or no setup to meet the needs of these deskless workers. Introducing Anthill, a two-way support portal for the deskless workers. Anthill delivers through the most accessible technology out there, text messaging. Deskless workers don't need another application on their phone. They just need something easy, something straightforward that they can use it on their phone right away. Our system enables access to the software, replies to FAQs automatically, translates into over 110 languages, predicts turnover, and populates employee job data automatically. Let's say Jane is a contractor at the manufacturing site. Her main concern is lack of job training. Now she has this infrastructure to easily reach out to her site manager and get more information right away. Employees with Anthill get more connectivity, more access, more education, and more engagement. However, when these workers are not heard, they just leave. Turnover is expensive. On average, companies are facing above 47% of turnover rates, which costs them more than $20,000 per person to rehire and train them in a timely manner. With Anthill, employers will get the visibility into the workforce in a way that they have never seen before. We are surfacing information on behalf of them. Anthill provides employers with the tools to engage with their deskless workers and the transparency to see what every site is doing. Now, let's take a look how Anthill helps in both employees and employers. Please move to Demo 1. Through this Anthill dashboard, companies can easily manage the conversations with their frontline workers. Let's take a look at the Anthill, the conversation thread. Just 20 seconds. Okay. Through our conversation thread, Jane, for example, can text in about her questions and everything. Let's say Jane texts in about her question regarding the lack of job training. And our system automatically catches up the phrase and keywords and replies back to her with the training schedules and options. We understand the certain frequencies of specific questions. That is why our auto-resolution feature resolves over 95% of the inbound questions automatically. Tag a word or phrase, and we will store the answer for you. Employees like Jane will receive the quick answers, and you save your time. Managers can also set up a survey or run a campaign, and we will summarize the results for you. Now, let's move into Anthill Pro, where our knowledge as people scientist comes in. Please go back to Demo 2. Here we provide advanced analytics showing you the workplace health score, letting you know how your workforce is feeling and whether they are at potential risk of leaving their job. We display which teams are having issues, which teams are feeling disengaged, and pinpoint the driving forces behind those potential turnover. Overall, our goal is to improve retention across your organization. Please go back to the slide. Our system has the capacity to scrape through the thousands of user data to be able to provide right answers to those FAQs so that the employees don't feel like they are talking to a chatbot. We also created a custom sentiment and psychometric analysis so that the employers will learn the feelings and needs of their deskless workers before they say something, before serious problems arise. The mutual trust is the core component of reducing turnover. However, to build trust, we first need to provide access to that communication. Employers and employees are running in different directions as they are affected by so many different problems and issues every single day. Anthill is reconciling employees and employers by creating a bridge between them. Our next generation of the product is the application, API, and integration into the existing HR platforms like SAP and messaging applications. With this, users then have the ability to take the massive data and be able to communicate out of people in a complementary way. HR SaaS market is growing fast. After this pandemic, it's even faster. Since our first launch of the product, Anthill quadrupled its growth. We process more than 50,000 messages in each every month. Our service has over 95% of adoption rate. That is, over 950 employees out of 1,000 are satisfied with our service. On average, Anthill customers are saving 5 hours per day, $22,000 per person by decreasing their turnover rate. If you run a company with 10,000 employees, that is $53 million of savings. Anthill connects everyone. Anthill helps both employees and employers. Anthill provides a complete inclusivity of the entire workforce. If any part of your workforce is deskless, either in the factory, in the delivery services, or in your stores, don't lose your workers. Get connected today and know what's going on with your workers. Thank you.
Give it up for Anthill. All right, Brian, let's start with you.
Yeah, thanks so much for the presentation. I love the name of the company. I think it's great. One of the questions I wanted to ask is, a pretty good indicator that you're really nailing the goal of making employees' lives better is when people leave a job that's using Anthill, do they bring the product with them or push for the product at a new role? Now, obviously, some of these employees don't have the power to actually make that purchasing decision, but are you seeing any sort of behavior like that in kind of the early customer data that you have?
So we're trying to build the software that helps both employees and employers. And of course, employers' main goal is to keep these employees in the same place so they can actually save a lot of time and money for the training and the rehire process too. But at the same time, for the employee side, the problem is really simple. They just need a simple answer for their questions. The questions are actually coming from their everyday jobs. But the thing is, the system is not working in terms of the communication. The communication channel is actually blocking. And the reason is because they are thinking about different things every day. These employees are having like really fundamental issues like equipment. Where can I get this equipment? Can I change my shift? Can I talk to my supervisor because my paycheck is not working? That type of simple things. But employers are thinking in a different way. Why these people are not coming to the shift in the right time? Where are they? Are they having a right time in terms of like performing in the right way? Because they are not answering the right question. This simple communication line will help them to get right answer immediately. And by saving that amount of time, they are happy. They are bringing more efficiency and productivity from the employee side. When they are like secured in a job position, they won't leave. If we can save that time and resources for the employer, then we can make a happiness for both employees and employers together.
Great. We'll go to Jordan, then Josephine.
So given the employers that you're targeting, have you found that the vast majority of them are using both the W-2 and contractor employees?
So most likely, employers are starting with the demo one, the very basic feature of the communication first, and then they see the value of this communication and add on to the Anthill Pro, so they can learn more information on behalf of the deskless workers.
I guess in terms of the actual employees, the status of them in terms of their worker classification, and because that governs a lot of types of communication and types of integration into the workforce that they can have to avoid being classified as a W-2 worker.
Could you repeat that last sentence?
So yeah, so basically just the workers that you're going after, is there a high percentage of them that are independent contractors, not W-2 workers?
Oh, yeah, actually. So in both ways. So our customers are actually from the small to mid-size of the companies to the enterprise level companies. So it doesn't really matter where the contractors are actually at. So like our customers are everywhere. So from the small side of the contracts, from the small side of the contracts to the big size of the full-time employees, everyone should be covered. Everyone should have the access to this platform and then communication. And then every open source of this communication line will be open for everyone, regardless of their position.
Josephine?
I'm curious what your pricing model is. I can see how you could really create a lot of value for the employers, especially with increased retention, but how much of that value can you capture?
So what we can tell now is it's actually a lot cheaper than what they are paying, what the enterprise level customers are paying right now. So it really depends on the size of the companies, size of the users of the specific sites, and the usual texting behaviors of the end users. So we actually customize this pricing plan for the specific customer. And the thing is, they are saving a lot of money because we're not charging them like thousands of dollars per person. Of course, we're charging them in a reasonable amount of money per person, per head in a subscription model per month. But we also offer like a yearly plan or like a 3-year plan. The thing is, most of the feedback that we actually received from the enterprise level customers, they don't want to come up with a monthly plan. They want to set this up more than like a year plan or a 3-year plan or 5-year plan. They consider this as a huge investment. And because they know the value of this communication with their frontline workers. And I see the point why they're doing that, and then we are actually meeting their needs from our standpoint.
Can you give us one example of one contract, just the size of that?
Well,
if possible.
I am not allowed to speak with that, but I'm happy to provide more information on the back of the stage.
Connie?
So you mentioned, I have 2 questions. The first is, who's saving the 5 hours a day? Is it the employer or is it the worker?
Employer side. So usually what they need to do is trying to get a contact with their deskless workers. The thing is, they cannot make a contact with their deskless workers. Those deskless workers out there, they want to just connect with their supervisor or the champion. The line is just missing. They just need one phone call. And when they get to the one phone call, they just need to talk until they actually get to the point to answer their question. We're saving that amount of time, 5 hours per day.
And then the second question is, you mentioned a couple of the reasons why people struggle at the workplace: training quality, safety, promotion path, wage. Have you been able to draw a line from I can text message my boss to my wages are going up, or I can text message my boss to I'm getting promoted? And if you haven't drawn a direct line, do you think you'll be able to?
Please answer quickly.
So yeah, our setup is actually anonymous. So whenever employees are sending their questions, everything is just hidden. No one knows who's sending what question. Only employees have the option on their dashboard. If that is really related to the personal level, fairly sensitive information, then our system asks the employee to disclose their name. By that point, they can communicate by opening their name. But besides that, we're closing everything anonymous. So they can send any specific questions regardless of their the payment or the raise of the issues or anything that is on the personal level. So we are keeping their identity until it's really related to their personal level issues.
Very good. And we're out of time for Anthill. Give them a round of applause. And that brings us to AppMap. AppMap is from Boston, Massachusetts. Presenting for AppMap is Elizabeth Lawler, co-founder and CEO, and Kevin Gilpin. Welcome to the stage.
Developers are the engine of growth and innovation, building the products we all rely on. But developers spend up to half their week in toil. Toil is the tedious work in software creation that arises from complexity. Toil robs 25 million developers of the joy of coding. Over 80 million developer hours are being wasted just today in toil. This costs businesses over $85 billion a year in wasted effort. Toil, over 70% of developers report that toil makes them unhappy. Unhappy developers quit at one of the highest rates of any industry, costing businesses heavily. Companies spend billions on observability, production monitoring, and security testing to find problems in code. Developers toil in mountains of data to find information to fix performance issues, remediate security flaws, and rework broken code. Developers are lost in a maze of tools they don't control, away from the coding they love to do. Developers, if you're lost in toil, you need a map. We built AppMap so software developers can see the behavior of their software as they write code. AppMap delivers personal observability, and performance and security analysis to software developers as they work to reduce toil. And AppMap is in the tool developers love the most, their code editor. Go to demo. This is an AppMap. AppMaps are accurate, up-to-date runtime data about software behavior as it is at any moment for any environment. The latest version of code in production, in a pull request, and even in the uncommitted changes developers are working on. AppMap traces code behavior wherever it goes, into the data stores and across service boundaries. For the first time ever, developers can see the behavior of software as they write code. AppMap streams real code behavior right to the code editor. This is a list of AppMaps, one for each request made to my app. AppMap automatically analyzes this data to find runtime issues while developers code. In this app, it's found two issues, a performance issue and a security flaw. First, the performance issue. A query is repeated many times in a loop. This will cause a slowdown in production. Up to half of today's performance issues are code issues like this, and AppMap found it instantly. Next, the security flaw. The user is authorized before they are authenticated. You can only see this when the code runs. Broken access control is the #1 issue in the OWASP top 10, and no other tool can find it in my code editor. These are just two examples of the runtime issues that AppMap can find while I code. And these are dropping today in the VS Code and JetBrains marketplaces. Back to slides. We built AppMap from the ground up to meet the needs of developers. We started with data, purpose-built for personal observability. That's why developers that use products like Datadog and Splunk also use AppMap. AppMap is deeply integrated with popular programming languages and frameworks. And AppMap is open source to support new languages and new communities. Companies adopting personal observability for their organizations have faster time to code onboarding and reduced time to repair flaws from weeks down to minutes. AppMaps are shareable for collaboration, and AppMap reports on fixes so organizations can track software quality improvement. Tens of thousands of developers have adopted AppMap in their code editor for personal observability, from Fortune 50 companies to the Global 1000 to startups and coding schools. AppMap has 5-star ratings in the VS Code and JetBrains marketplaces. Postman recently partnered with AppMap for their community of 6 million developers. AppMap automatically generates open API data as developers work and streams it directly to Postman collections. This is just one example of what runtime data in the code editor can do for developer tool adoption. AppMap is the only tool to shift performance and security runtime analysis all the way left into the code editor. Delivering the developer observability experience is a massive market opportunity to disrupt incumbents in the application performance monitoring market and dynamic application security testing markets. But there's another opportunity ahead to support the $40 billion of developer-adopted tools with runtime insights inside the code editor. Developers, AppMap is free for individuals, students, and open source projects in the VS Code and JetBrains marketplaces. Join us. AppMap helps development teams reduce toil and deliver more performant, secure, and reliable code faster. And for developer-focused organizations, let AppMap help you deliver more value to your users. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Uli, let's start with you.
Awesome presentation. I love the color of the slides too. Can you start in terms of, you said the platform is integrated into, has an integration into other existing platforms?
It is. It's integrated into the VS Code and JetBrains code editors directly, so it runs entirely inside the code editor.
Okay, great.
Brian?
Yeah, this is great. Thanks so much for the presentation. And it's a problem that definitely resonates with me. At my previous life, I was a software engineer, and we actually had drawn on the wall this giant map of how this stuff works. It's been a huge help. My question is about, you've cracked distribution with the single player mode, which is great and is a huge part of developing a large DevTools business. How do you think about moving from that local use case into things that are closer to production, which are likely more monetizable?
Okay, I'll answer that. So basically, we're looking at the analytic capabilities as being a monetizable service, as well as the reporting capabilities that we mentioned in the slides. But I think that there's another opportunity really to become part of what I believe is being called the developer experience infrastructure, right? Which is the ability to deliver tools and services to be consumed by developers inside of their code editor. If you think about what the standard of developer experience is right now, it's DevDocs, it's Stack Overflow, et cetera. We would really like to help companies understand how to deliver playbooks of consumption to developers directly. And I think that allows us to keep a very broad freemium tier available to users.
Josephine?
I'd love to understand, even within that single player mode, what does engagement look like? How often are developers, how much time are they spending in AppMap? Is it part of their daily workflow? What are the use cases they're using you for the most?
That's actually a really great question. So we released AppMap in 21 as just visualizations for code. And it's a very sticky product, so we were able to develop a really strong community around that. They helped us surface some of the analytic use cases that you see here today. This is what they were spending out their time on. So from that perspective, it's actually a really great product as a distribution engine for future adoption.
Connie?
Can we talk a little bit about the demographics of your existing user base? Do they trend more sort of newer developers who are just getting started, or are they more experienced? And what does that imply about how you're going to be able to go to production code within enterprises?
Yes, it's actually quite all over the map. In fact, the toil that you saw on the slide earlier tends to be in larger organizations, even amongst experienced developers. We've had architects come to us and use app maps to justify to CFOs and other C-suite individuals for more resources or time to refactor, et cetera. So it really is kind of a bimodal distribution of new developers and really experienced architects.
We've had people mapping code camp projects, and we've had people map million-line Java or monoliths. So it's all over the place.
It's all over the
Can I ask a very short, quick follow-up? So it sounds like there's modes of being able to communicate to outside stakeholders with this work product, and then modes of being able to just manage your own processes better. Is that the two typical modes you see?
Yes, absolutely. It's a personal productivity process, but I think the real value is to illuminate and create common artifacts that people can use to actually discuss state, which is invisible.
Cool. Jordan?
Yeah, so just as a follow-up question to what Josephine had mentioned, you've had some really strong growth on the individual side, and I completely understand how using that to uncover use cases would be really, really valuable. On that growth, how are you seeing that user engagement? Like, what does that retention look like? How many people are coming on, and this is becoming part of their everyday? This is an everyday product many times a day versus people that drop off.
Yes, so for developers who share their experience with us by turning on telemetry, they engage with the product 2 to 3 times a week, which is about akin to either finishing up a work product or starting a new project. So the engagement is actually really high.
Excellent.
Can I ask one clarifying question? Did you mention that you had an open core with this technology?
We do.
Okay.
It's open source. The agents are open source. The libraries are open source. It's incredibly important for us to also, we started with a model where the data residency was local to the code editor. That allowed us to spur growth because obviously this is very sensitive data.
It's so easy for any type of organization to use it because we don't send data to the internet. They don't have to sign up for a service. So that's a great way to get started when, to be a very small company and have large companies be able to pick up your tool and use it.
Have you thought about something like publishing artifacts as one of the monetization mechanisms that you might employ for the sake of, for example, a CTO communicating to a CFO or that type of thing?
What do you mean by publishing?
So just being able to share.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So AppMaps are shareable over our service. Yes, we create URLs that people can use to embed AppMap data in other in pull requests or in communications, so they can actually see and talk about how things are working.
Yeah, there's a server side that we didn't show in the demo, but you sign up with your GitHub or GitLab login, and then you can get a URL to an AppMap and paste that anywhere.
I like how all the judges nodded at that question. Yes, we all agree. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much. That was AppMap. Give them a round of applause. This feels good, right? Like being in person, doing in-person pitch-offs, it feels great. Now, we're coming back later this afternoon, and there's going to be round 2 for Startup Battlefield, and then tomorrow there's 2 more rounds.